morning and good afternoon, and welcome to the September 2022 Quarterly Grain Stocks and Small Grains webinar. My name is Stephanie Carpenter with DTN, your moderator, and with me today is Todd Hultman, Lead Market Analyst for DTN. During this event, all participants will be in a listen-only mode, but you can ask questions at any time during the event. To do this, click the Q&A section located on the bottom right of your screen to open the Q&A panel. From there, type your question in the box at the bottom and click the send button. We encourage you to ask questions at any time during the presentation. Your questions will not be viewable by other attendees and will be addressed during the Q&A at the end of the session. Also, this event is being recorded and a rebroadcast link will be on our DTN website within 48 hours. And as a reminder, our web address is dtn.com. We're ready to begin the webinar, so I'll turn it over to Todd.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. As an analyst, I always appreciate USDA's grain stocks reports because it's the one time where we get away from making all kinds of estimates about lots of things we're not sure about, and we get down to basically asking the simple question, how much is in inventory? What are we finding? This is probably the most direct and one of the most reliable reports that comes from USDA, and it certainly helps keep the entire WASDE estimating process more reliable and more on tune with what is actually out there in the real world. So as we're going to see, this report has a history of some surprises at times, and there were more surprises today. So let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at what USDA found. First of all, before we get into the report, we have to make a note. There were two notes from the NASS, which is the arm of USDA that conducts both of today's reports. And from NASS, they would like to tell us that they made two revisions to the production estimates for 2021. In the case of corn, that production estimate was revised 41.4 million bushels lower. And in the case of soybeans, the 2021 production estimate was revised 30.2 million bushels higher. So we have now a new corn production estimate for the 2021 season of 15.07 billion bushels, and soybean production is revised up to 4.465 billion bushels. Those are, I would say, minor adjustments, but it's part of the result of the surprises that they found in today's inventory. Let's take a look at corn. USDA said September 1 corn stocks came in at a much lower than expected 1.377 billion bushels. That is the second lowest total in 8 years. 37% of those corn stocks are still held on the farm. In the September estimate, if you recall, in the WASDE report, USDA was estimating 1.525 billion bushels, and the trade was estimating a little bit lower number than that, just below 1.5 billion bushels. But I'm not sure there was any guesstimates down this low in the range. So we have a much tighter corn supply situation than expected. As I mentioned in my preview to today's report, this is the one number that I was most interested to see, and simply because we had such a strong corn basis all summer long, you just had to wonder if stocks were going to show up a little tighter than expected, and here they certainly did. So 1.377 billion bushels, that is the official ending stocks total for the 2021 to 22 season, and again, that's the second lowest in 8 years. Let's look now at soybeans. The September 1 soybean stock total for soybeans came in higher than expected, 274 million bushels. It's the second lowest total in 6 years, but higher than the 240 million bushels that USDA estimated back in September. So about a 34 million bushel increase on last month's estimate. 23% of soybeans were still held on the farm, according to USDA's numbers. So I think it was just last year? I think it was, I think it would have been last year. We came in with a higher than expected total for soybeans. So here we did it again for a second year in a row, coming in at 274 million bushels. Historically speaking, we're still on the low end of soybean supplies, but a little more than was expected today. For wheat stocks, now keep in mind this is not the ending wheat stocks total for wheat season. This is actually the wheat season after 1 quarter of demand has been worked through. So September 1 wheat stocks from USDA are found to be at 1.776 billion bushels. That was also lower than expected, somewhat like corn today. Trade expectations for wheat were 1.795, so this is about 21 million bushels below the average estimate of analysts in the Dow Jones survey. 33% of these wheat stocks are still held on the farm, so it looks like quite a bit of wheat has been moved actually in the first quarter. We can also do the math and figure out that demand in the first quarter totaled 777 million bushels, the lowest in 3 years. So here we have a very tight supply situation in wheat. Once again, we're very close to where we were in terms of inventory 1 year ago. And for September 1 wheat stocks, as far as they go, this is the second lowest total in 15 years. So another tight situation in wheat for the year ahead. All right, that does it for the grain stocks report today. Now let's take a look at the small grain summary. And in the small grain summary, USDA is going to be estimating the crop estimates for the different wheat classes as well as for barley and oats. Let's take a look first at what they said for wheat here. New U.S. wheat production estimates. The all U.S. wheat production total came in at 1.65 billion bushels. That is significantly lower than what was expected and significantly lower than the 1.78 billion bushels that we saw estimated in the September report. I would like to note that USDA also changed the estimate of harvested acres for U.S. wheat this year. Instead of 37.5 million acres, they took that number down 2 million. We're now looking at 35.5 million acres. So I would guess another victim of the drought situation this year that USDA is making an adjustment for there. But this all wheat total coming in much less than expected, 1.65 billion bushels. Let's look at the categories. In the case of winter wheat, 1.1 basically billion bushels of winter wheat is down roughly 194 million bushels from what was estimated in August when the classes were last estimated. In the case of other spring wheat, the estimate came in at 482 million bushels. That was 30 million bushels lower than the most recent estimate in August. And in the case of durum wheat, 64 million bushels. That's down 10 million bushels from the August estimate. So really, we saw across the board decreases in the cases of wheat, both for the winter totals and the other spring and the durum crops. I can also tell you that among the winter wheat categories, HRW wheat came in roughly 42 million bushels less than expected. They came in at 531 million bushels. SRW wheat came in at 336 million bushels. That was roughly 43 less than was expected. And white wheat came in 3 million bushels less than expected at 236 million bushels. So again, just across the board in every category of wheat, we see less production than was expected in today's report. How about oats and barley? That was also part of the small grain summary. Well, I didn't have expectations or any trade estimates on what analysts were looking for in oats and barley, but I can tell you that USDA increased its oat production estimate from 53 million in August. It's now closer to 58 million bushels. And in the case of barley, the estimate was increased from 158 million bushels in August. That's now at 174 million bushels. So higher estimates of oat and barley production from USDA here on Friday. In conclusion, I think the report's fairly clear today. We have to say it's a bullish report for corn. That much lower than expected corn stocks number, plus the downward revision in 2021 production were both bullish factors. and we're going to see an even lower ending stocks estimate, most likely in the October 12th WASDE report when that next comes out. For soybeans, I think it's fair to say today's numbers were a bit bearish. The 274 million bushel September 1 stocks were higher than expected, and of course the revised slight increase to 2021 production added to the bearishness of that, and actually was a result of the inventory report. And then in the case of wheat, clearly this was probably one of the most bullish reports for wheat we've seen in a long time. Not only did we have lower than expected September 1 wheat stocks, we also had less than expected wheat production totals across the board. And when we come to the October 12th WASDE report, we're probably going to see ending wheat stocks now estimated somewhere in the low 500 million bushel range, and that's likely going to be the lowest U.S. wheat stocks in 15 years. So this is quite a bullish report for wheat. This snapshot of the markets was taken just roughly about noon here today, Central Time. And as you can see, both corn and wheat prices have responded higher. March corn is challenging the $7 mark. Kansas City wheat is challenging $10, while soybeans is selling off on this report total. Give me a second here, and I'll give you even a better update. Right now, I show, get to it. December corn's up 15 cents, close to 6.85. November soybeans are down almost 30 cents. There they go, 13.80 to 81. And December Kansas City wheat down 33. But all wheat classes are higher. Minneapolis wheat is up 25 cents on the day. So it's not a lot of numbers today, but boy, they sure have impact on the markets. USDA came through with a surprise again. And once again, I'm very glad that they have inventory reports to check and keep those other estimates honest. Stephanie, this is a great time. If any questions popped up, I'll be glad to take those.
Thanks, Todd. It looks like today was kind of short and sweet and straight to the point, so no questions came in.
All right, fair enough. Well, you know, I'm always available by email for anybody that has a question later, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Todd. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining the webinar today. As a reminder, today's event has been recorded and the rebroadcast link will be up on dtn.com within about 48 hours, probably by next Monday. Also, if you have any additional questions or would like more information regarding our topic today, as Todd has mentioned, you can see his information here on the screen. That concludes our event. Thank you all for joining and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.